and welcome back to CMajor Before the Show. It's Saturday, almost Saturday evening, and we're glad to be with you. Thank you for joining us. It's been an interesting week, hasn't it? Here we are. We've been with you all week long. And it's Saturday, and we're continuing our conversation. We're talking about notes by remote, playing piano online. We'll say a lot about that today, and so just bear with us. If you have nothing else to do, if you feel stuck, if you feel shut in, you're welcome to be here, right here with us. You're going to hear me sipping my iced coffee as we go along throughout the show today. So I don't want you to be too distracted by that, but just trying to stay hydrated. It's been a long week. It really has. We're just trying to figure it all out. I find myself trying to manage remote relationships, and so we'll be talking about that today. We're talking about how your e-lessons are going online, and just as I promised, it's Saturday. We're talking about more on e-lessons, more on documenting your music making using your own notation system or something else, which we'll go in depth a little bit more about over at the CMajor radio show, so be prepared for that. Always bring pencil and paper or iPad, something to write with, and how you are doing your music making. How is it going? And during your stay-at-home period, during coronavirus. And we'll even talk about today how to book some private lessons with CMajor. For the first time in the history of our podcast, we are asking you to sign up for lessons online with us. So I'm going to give you some information about that. I know you're excited about that. Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. And it's all fun. We're just trying to figure it out as we go. You know, e-lessons, my current students actually know, they already know who I am and what they're going to get when they come to me, and that they are already matched with me. But I wanted to talk about piano lessons in a broader sense online, because I don't know a lot of you who may be listening to the podcast. By the way, if you are listening to the podcast for the first time, you are welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're glad to have you here. And tell all of your friends. Tell all of your friends to listen in. And you're going to hear CMajor say a lot about sharing the news today. Something I normally don't do. You know why? Again, because the ones who listen to the podcast are people that I actually know. Believe it or not. I know all of my friends from Facebook, my private page. I know exactly who you are. I know what you do. A lot of you are doing the same things I'm trying to do, trying to figure out how to work remotely as a musician. And most of my Facebook friends are musicians, music educators, teachers, colleagues, professional musicians, people who know everybody under the sun in the music industry. And so, you know, shout out to you guys. Good luck with it all. And I hope that something that I can say today might help you, and I'll be looking for things that you'll say, because a lot of my friends online are very encouraging, by the way. Very few grumpy people online right now. So, in my friend circle, so I'm glad to see that. And the other listeners that I have are my students. So the ones who have parents' permission to listen. I know I have some parents that follow what I do. And so I'm always glad to have you tune in and then tell your friends. And so I hope that you find it helpful to listen to this show, because I really do try to say things that are helpful, that are useful. I'm not just here just blowing a lot of hot air, and I'm not interested in just hearing myself talk. I really do want to say something that can be of use, and to have a healthy exchange of ideas, because you are my partners. You are my partners. You are my partners. Listeners are my partners. I think of you as partners, because without you, I would not have the inspiration for the show. Without my students, I wouldn't even have a podcast. because there will be nothing to talk about. So you're the ones who drive this podcast, and I'm so grateful for you and the platform that we're on. So let's just go down the line here. I made a little bit of an outline today. By the way, I'm still tightening up the podcast. I've said that over and over. I know I have, but I'm really serious. I'm going to be more focused in the future. You'll see. But I'm really concerned about you. How are you doing? How are you doing through all of this? We're in the middle of something big in our history in this country, and I know that some of you are very new to having to stay at home, but believe it or not, there are books that are written out there that talk about how to work at home, how to be a remote learner, distance learning, all of that. It just seems like now we're forced to do it. How are you learning? I want to know that. And are you learning songs, or are you learning method across your computers? I mean, everybody that has the power to do it, they're posting resources to help teachers, to help students, everyone from the math museum on down. They're posting ways for you to stay sharp until we are able to get out and about again. But learning piano remotely, that's what I want to know. How are you doing it? Are you doing it through a live teacher? Are you zoomed out, so to speak? Are you on some other platform that allows you to experience a one-to-one connection with a teacher? And are you looking for other ways to be remote? I'm interested in all of those things. So like I said, we're going to be over at the CMajor radio show after this show, so feel free to join us over there. You should be able to find us wherever you get your podcasts. But now I'm just taking a look at my notes. For music education. So check this out. So imagine you are looking to learn music for the first time, and you want to learn to play the piano, and you've already tapped into your expert, and this person is very aware of what it takes to learn music and what it takes to teach music. And so sometimes with teachers, they have their own pedagogical approach or something. But what if you come with your own ideas? What if you are thinking in your mind, there's no way I'm going to learn to read music? I think I need something else. Maybe your focus is popular music. Maybe you had music in school, and then you were thinking, okay, whenever I get out on my own, if I can learn to play popular music, that's what I'm going to do. Or were you thinking you wanted to learn classical music? What are your thoughts? And how are you going to do it? So, every approach is different, whether it's for early childhood music education, whether it's for school, whether it's for university, or whether it's for an applied program like at a conservatory. Everything has its own principles and practices, really. But let's just assume, for the moment, I'm going to make an assumption that you are interested in playing popular music and maybe not so much learning classical. So the Western musical tradition would be to use notes, maybe some chord charts. Everything would be based on staff notation. But what if you want to represent everything by letters and pictures, shapes, colors, numbers. That you want a different way of writing out your rhythm patterns, that you don't want to look at 5 lines and 4 spaces. How are you going to do it? Now we're going to cover this in more depth over at the CMajor radio show, as I was saying. But I would say if you're learning by rote and you're in a remote situation, think about how you're going to play those melodies, how you're going to play those chords, and then how you're going to retain what it is that you played and what you thought you heard in your head, for instance. Something to think about. Hold that thought, because now we're going to talk about what it means to learn to play piano remotely and to, in a way, manage those remote relationships. So let's say you've taken the bait, so to speak. Somebody's hooked you into a piano lesson online. How involved do you think you will feel if you're taking piano lessons online? Are you going to really feel engaged? Or when the other person is not looking, are you going to be rolling your eyes? Because it's very different online. You hear everything, don't you? You hear what's going on with the microphone. Like I'm drinking my drink right now. You can hear that. You may even hear me taking a sip of my iced coffee. And is that going to be annoying? You know, what if with the delay and everything that's going on with the connection, somebody's speaking at the wrong time? Or worst of all, they didn't stop talking when you were trying to get their attention, or maybe they were breathing too heavily, you know. We have to think about all these things once we're communicating online. So more than ever, I would have to say I do miss teaching in person. But more than ever, I've never had such a great time teaching online, because all these challenges is something to think about. How is the microphone positioned? You know, are you breathing at the wrong time? Is somebody's connection frozen? Do they have good Wi-Fi? Do they not have good Wi-Fi? How do they look online? That's the other thing. They look disheveled. That they look like they were ready to be on camera. Is the lighting good? So many distractions, you know? And what if you dial into some place and people are moving? They're doing something annoying, or they're in a place where people are chit-chatting or making noises with their chairs or something like that. Something to think about, you know. Will you be talking too much because you're so excited to make a connection with someone, or will you be talking too little because you're afraid and you can't figure out when it's appropriate to raise your hand and ask a question? You know, that happened to me this week. I was on Zoom quite a bit this week, more than I normally would have been. And I found myself feeling a little shy, because I felt like the people that were running the meeting, you know, that they had so much to say to us that you didn't want to cut in and make them feel like you don't want to hear what they have to say. It's just all these different dynamics. And then someone else brought up the fact that if you are in a Zoom meeting and somebody doesn't want to show their face, now how are you going to read their emotion? That's the thing. They don't want you to read their emotion. Same thing, you know, they don't want they don't want you to see their expression. Maybe they are rolling their eyes at something that you said. Something to think about. But I'm hopeful, and I want to encourage you, if you are thinking about taking piano lessons online, I'm going to be talking with you about something that recently happened to me. And I don't normally do this. I don't normally promote something here on the podcast. I normally just give you a piano lesson and then talk about chords, talk about melody, something else. And then over at the CMajor radio show, we talk about writing down melodies, writing down chords, figuring out if we want to write it on a staff, if we want to use text, things like that. But This is a different time that we're in, so I'm going to take the time to talk with you about remote learning, what that feels like, if you're working with somebody remotely, things to consider. I'm also thinking about my teacher friends too, online, my colleagues. Everybody's different. A lot of my colleagues teach in a classroom, and so they don't really know what it feels like to teach one-to-one in person with somebody. And we were talking about relationships, and I could say a little bit more about that, but let's just stay focused. So I would say if you are going to be communicating with your teacher online, or if you're a teacher and you're communicating with other teachers online, just talk openly about the challenges. So if you're working peer-to-peer, for instance, just be really clear about what your expectations are for that communication. Also, another thing to think about if you're over communicating. I was hearing a colleague today talking about this, saying how she just felt like enough is enough. She had to divide her time and make sure people understood when she was available, things like that. So you may find yourself having to set up a time to catch up with somebody on something. Or if you're a student, if you have a question, figuring out, are you going to talk every 2 hours? Are you going to talk every 2 days? Are you going to talk every 2 weeks? What would feel good as a formal check-in with whomever you're communicating with. Just be clear about the agenda. And then you have people that are really interested and very used to being in meetings all day long on a computer, from morning to night. And you can make assumptions, just like I'm making an assumption today, about your interest in learning about remote learning. I think when you're working off-site with somebody on a computer, you can't make assumptions about their surroundings and what they are dealing with, because everything is different. Also, another big thing to consider, let's say if you really found someone online who can work with you, you have to think about if they're all the way in California and you're here in the New York City area, then you have a time zone issue. So it's easy to forget. I was talking with someone this week, and they just reminded me that, well, you may be enjoying the sun coming up, but I'm enjoying the nightfall. And where I am in this part of the world, the connections are really bad at night. So you have to think about that too. Think about the time zones that you are in. Think about the urgency of all of it. If you want to be in touch with somebody at a particular time of day or night. Another thing to think about, technology. We talked about the dropouts and the drop-ins and the lack of Wi-Fi or the not so good Wi-Fi connection. And so, I know a lot of people that really rely on Starbucks, for instance, for their Wi-Fi. And so they always feel disheartened when they can't go to a coffee shop, jump into coffee culture and have all their meetings and their Wi-Fi connections at a place like Starbucks. So right now we're all missing that. But technology does make it easier. All in all, you can jump on your laptop, you can do a video conference, you can bring anybody, anything into the room with you through Google, through G Suite, if you're affiliated with an educational institution. But I was also talking with a colleague that felt like even sending documents sometimes can be difficult, like if you're using a Dropbox or some other cloud-based system. So, lots to think about. I mean, it's a challenge to work remotely, but I would say coming out of this, I'm going to feel more strong about working online. Suppose you are partnering with somebody. Now we have to keep social distancing. So if you're used to using somebody's home office as your own office or home studio as your own studio, forget about it. We can't even do that right now. But I would say try to maintain your network of those you can count on. So when we can be less than 6 feet apart, that those relationships will still be intact. I know that's happened from time to time when I've had students that would share a space, like a home space for piano lessons because they didn't have a piano just yet. Those are things that you take for granted. But we live in a society now where there are so many solutions. I would just encourage you to think about the solutions. Really open up your mind and think about, okay, what is it going to take to get this done? Other things, I would say if you can, and I know people feel funny about this. Again, we're talking about learning to play piano remotely. How are you doing your online learning at this time? And are you learning your notes by remote? That's our topic for today. So you may feel one way or the other about email, phone calls. Remember when we had instant messaging and then they took that away? We don't get to do that anymore so much on our computers if you have a Mac. But how do you feel about Skyping? Some people enjoy Skype. It's free to anyone. And it still works. I would say either way, if you're on a remote learning system, or if that's the way you're choosing to communicate when it comes to piano lessons nowadays, just bring your A game. Think about yourself like you're a movie director and you're shooting a scene and you have people on the other end of the camera who are really checking you out. Make sure you're dressed professionally and keeping your desk clean. But you know what? I saw something else online too, where you can actually change your background. So if you have a messy background, there's an app for that. So either way, you just want to put your best foot forward, I think. I was listening to someone talk about that this week, that the observations were that not everybody is looking as polished as they probably could on camera. So I would say do your best to stay engaged. And so, again, I'm enjoying remote learning, I would say, and teaching. I want to do more of it, more and more of it. How are you showing yourself? Are you slumping? Are you taking notes? Are you really engaged? Just make sure you check your body language. And there's always after the fact. So after you've met with somebody online, you can always follow up and clarify some things that maybe weren't so clear, if they have the time to do it. But I just want to encourage you. I just want to encourage you to build the best relationships that you can build at this time, and think about what you most need from your piano lessons if you're studying online, and think about what your teachers need from you. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to sip some more of my iced coffee. You're listening to CMajor Before the Show. I'm your host, CMajor Porter. Be back in a moment. Okay, and we are back. I'm going to go online with you right now. If you happen to be at your computer, your laptop, your mobile device, go with us to a place called Meathook. Now, it's not like it sounds. It's not like you have a piece of meat and you're putting it on a hook. That's not what we're talking about, okay? So I'm not making fun of the name. I'm just saying that it is spelled like you meet someone. M-E-E-T, meet rhymes with street, and then hook, like you bait a hook to catch a fish. Think of it that way. Or Captain Hook, or Hooked on Phonics, Hooked on Classics. So the website is called app.meathook.com, and then coincidentally it does have an app. So if you're in your app store, you can find this app and just take a look, check it out. But we're going to go live with you because I recently became a member of the Meathook family, so I'm really excited about that. Really grateful for you guys to accept me, and I wasn't sure that you would because I looked into it before, and it was after seeing somebody post something about it, and I thought, oh, well, I'll never qualify for that as a teacher because I haven't toured all around the world yet. I've toured, but I haven't toured as much as some of these professionals that are on this platform, and I can't boast that I have any Grammys yet. I've been to a Grammy party. I've met Diana Ross, and I've sat down with B.B. King, and I've crossed paths with a lot of those big names in the music industry. By the way, Diana Ross is really super nice. I don't know if I've said that on the podcast, but that doesn't happen that often, that you meet someone that's so big and so famous in the industry, and they're so kind and just super nice. I think she just had a birthday recently too, so happy birthday to the boss, Miss Diana Ross. And even B.B. King, when he was living, just really a nice person to be around. But anyway, I've met a lot of celebrities, A, B, C, D list celebrities, and I can just say that they have shelves full of awards and recognition, and they're one of those people that would qualify for music cares if something happened and they needed support, because in order to get music cares you have to be at that level. 5 albums out at a minimum, and then having so many followers and fans and being a top earner. Anyway, totally out of my league right now. I'm not even anywhere near that. So I thought you had to be at that caliber in order to sign up, but here it is. I found myself being able to sign up, and I love this. I love this platform so far. So fingers crossed for you guys. Please just pray for us. We'll be able to be on this platform and be able to meet some of you who are listening to us for the first time, or you're connecting with us and you want to connect online for piano lessons. So I'm doing this because I'm starting to see that not only just my students and people that I know listen to the podcast, now strangers, people that I'll never meet in person, are starting to listen to the podcast. So knowing that, I have to be on my P's and Q's and say, you know what, if you want to have a lesson with me, you can. We'll probably never meet in this lifetime, but we can connect online. So Meet seems to be one of those things. So if you are in the New York City area and you want to have a lesson with me, we'll have an offline discussion about that. That's possible. So normally what you have to do to get a lesson with me, you have to be a referral, you have to be a match, I have to know you, I have to know somebody who knows you, something like that. But now we're talking about total strangers, somebody who wants to just get their feet wet in piano and they've never done it before and they want to do a lesson with somebody live. So check it out, app.meethook.com. Okay, so I'm here at the website. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to just take a look around with you so you know what to expect. Now, I love this too, because the only way to really get in touch with me over here is that you have to favorite me. So you can't just be over here trolling and ghosting. You really have to want to connect with me. Okay, so the way to do that is to favorite me. There's a way to do that. So there's a whole culture associated with this. Speaking of culture, it'd be great to have someone from coffee culture say, hey, I want to take piano lessons with CMajor. That would be great. Okay. So let me show you how easy this is. All you have to do is favorite me. And you know the little icon that's a heart shape? That's all you have to do. Okay? And so what you will do after that, I will get prompted. And then they will let me know that you are interested in having a lesson with me. Or you have to pay in advance in order to get a lesson with me. So the rates are there. They're set for anyone who is a host. And let's say you don't want to be a host. You don't sign up to be a host. I'm the host in this case. You can sign up to be someone who wants to take lessons. And it doesn't have to be with me. It can be with any of the other wonderful pianists that are on this site and well known. But the catch is you have to wait for them to come available. So somebody like me, I'm more available. So I'm not touring right now. I don't have anything going on right now. Matter of fact, nobody's really touring right now. But you know, in the future when they go on their world tours, or if they're touring with Madonna or whomever the big names are, and they won't be available, then you have to wait for them to come available. Me, I'm more available. Okay, so my calendar, you're going to see where everything lined up. Okay, so for instance, next week, I have availability that I've planned. Since we're all shut in, we're all stuck at home, except for the essential workers. But I'm available from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. all next week, Monday through Friday. You can catch me online. Okay, that's my availability for Meethook. And then anything else after that is just different, off-site from this platform. But if you're available anywhere in the world, you can tap into this calendar and find me right here. Now, this is the first and probably only time I'm going to speak this extensively about Meethook. And then I'll mention it probably another 5 times because it takes 6 times before it really starts to stick in your mind. And then, I'll just try to post it as much and then try to build it up and talk about it as much as possible until people start to realize that I'm here. Because unless you know I'm here, you won't come here unless I tell you. So I'm going to try to do my part. Okay, but if you are available, starting next week, anytime between the hours of 10 and 1, and you'd like to have a 30-minute lesson with CMajor, please log on to this site and make yourself known. You have to favorite me so that I get prompted, and then we just go from there. Now, the lessons will be for 30 minutes. I have the chance to do something less than that, but what I want to do is to do the difficult thing online and have a 30-minute lesson with you. We can even go as long as 60 minutes if you want to. It all depends on what you want. But then after the lessons, I also want to make myself available for maybe small consultations, discussions, advice. If you're in the market for buying a piano, for instance, or if you need to talk with me about music theory, but outside of the lesson, or you are having a debate with someone about where you need to go in your music making, things like that. You can always do those with shorter amounts of time, have those quick discussions, or when the stores open back up, if you are in the market for making a purchase and you're standing there with the salesperson and you don't know if they are telling you everything you need to know, you need to find out more. You can dial a friend. You can dial CMajor and I'll tell you exactly what you need to know. Okay? But on planned time. All right, now let's take a look at my profile. Okay, this time I did the polite thing. And I turned off my sound so I could take a sip of coffee. I know there's etiquette involved, right? You have to laugh at that. But thank you for being here. So you'll see my profile. I'm still very new to this, and I'm not sure when they will actually have my picture up, but I think, if you want to book a session that, you would just find me on other social media. For some reason, it's not showing up here, and just let me know so we can get you on. But you'll see about me. If it is showing, you'll see my bio, things like that. You'll be able to see my skills, piano, and then also some of my social media links. So you can find me on Facebook, Twitter. I didn't post that many social media links, but you can find us some of the main ones. And then the history, that's going to show once I've actually booked someone. So as the user, you are the user, and you decide when you want to book me for a session. Okay. And then for whatever you have chosen for the session, that's going to show what's paid and what's not paid. Okay, now this is really cool. This is a cool feature because I find myself sometimes when I'm in a lesson with somebody online and working remotely with them that I don't know if I should try to send something, if that's going to interrupt the connection, but it seems that on this platform you can. So let's say, for instance, you weren't sure of my hand positioning and you want to be able to reference that later. I can actually take a picture of my hand positioning and send that to you as an image. Or let's say if I've recorded something, and I do have one recording called CMajor, one recorded album. So I think of myself as a recording artist, and you will see more of that in the future. Just bear with me. I'm going to put more out there, and I think I have a single that's posted on iTunes right now. But if I need to send you, let's say, I had a student once that said, hey, I want to learn to play the music of C major. I said, okay, fine. I sent her audio, I gave her a CD, and we talked about the chords that were used. And so in this case, I can send you an MP3, I can send you a WAV file, I can send you a video of me playing. And then the other cool thing, I can send you maybe PDF files or Word files, maybe something that gives you further instruction about what it is that we're aiming to do, or like a fun music exercise following the lesson. Okay, next would be notifications. So that's just the company is going to notify me when I have something that's coming up. And then Meethook now, that's how I'm going to be setting up my calendar each week. So look for that. For me, it's going to be a weekly thing. I would just post it. Now, the other cool thing about this company is that they allow you to donate to charity. So more than ever, there's a need for donations. So I'm going to go over some of that with you too. And then, you can see ways to communicate with me, but mainly you communicate through the company and then they get with me. So if you have booked a session or you want to have a session with CMajor, they will send me notification that there's somebody that wants to connect with me. And then we go from there. If you have any questions at all, they also have some really wonderful videos that's posted here. And again, you can download the app from the App Store. You can get it on Google Play. There are a list of questions that are general FAQs, frequently asked questions, where they really explain everything and break it down to you. So there's no guesswork, really. So now that I'm here, let me just see if I can go ahead and follow and like Meethook, at least on a couple of things. Let me see if I can do it on all four, actually. So I think Instagram, I have a chance to follow them. So let me see if I can follow them. Yeah, let me do that. So they have 12,000 followers, which is kind of cool. And quite a bit of posts. Wow, look at that. You got to go check them out. Okay, now I'm going to follow them on Facebook if I can. By the way, a lot of people were on Instagram this week. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see all these dance parties on Instagram, on IG? And Debbie Allen had a dance class in the last couple of weeks on IG. Like, IG is lit. Usually Twitter is the one that's lit, but IG was lit, I have to say. Pretty cool to see how everybody's connecting. Gonna go to, and even if nothing comes of it, they say really watch your words. I'm gonna watch my words here, but even if nothing comes of it and I don't get students right away, or it's like a slow growth thing, which I was thinking it would be, but I would love for it to be fast too. I'm gonna follow them. Then I would say, I love the concept of this. I really do. It's a really great concept. I think it's built by musicians, and they really want you to share the news that they have something like this. Okay, and then YouTube. Let me follow them. I don't know what the videos are of YouTube. Probably the ones that I saw earlier, where they're talking about how to actually use the app and how to use the platform. So whether you are a user, whether you are a host, yeah, let me go ahead and subscribe. It's okay. So they're growing. It's a very new company. Okay, so now let me step away from that for a moment. Okay, so now I'm back. So I will let you read some of this on your own. If you just go to, now this time don't put app.meethook.com, just put meethook.com. And they tell you about, the costs that are involved. It doesn't cost anything to be a user, that you don't have to pay anything to be associated with it. You can just be on if you want to. And then the costs are determined by each host rate, and you can look at those. And you should be able to search for the host. Again, if you don't see CMajor, and by the way, you just look for my name, Carol Porter. So, this is what I love. Okay, so let me lower my music for this. Okay. Please listen to this. By clicking the heart icon on a host profile, it will add them to your favorites tab, and you will receive alerts via push notification anytime the host adds availability to their calendar or becomes instantly available using Meethook now. So that just means once you favorite me, then I will be prompted to know, hey, you're interested in a lesson. We can go ahead and book a session. So I think you have to go ahead and sign up for a user to be a user on the platform, but it's totally free. And so not anybody can just go on and hook me. Meet hook me, if you say it like that. For a session, you have to sign up to be a user first. So it's almost like it's a private platform, which I also love. It feels more secure that way. So, but then, we offer free lessons here on the podcast anyway. But this way you get more one-to-one attention. Now, the other thing that I love too, after we've had our session, okay, so what's going to happen, we'll start the session. There's going to be a video. It's private. It will start the time that you book the session. I'm supposed to be on. I know that you're coming on. And then once you've added it to your calendar, you have the session. You can refer a friend, and they're going to ask for that. So they'll generate an email with information about the website, and then you can send that to whomever you wish. I don't know if there's a credit involved with that, but I love also that they ask you to think about giving a gift to someone. So if you wanted to give a gift to someone who wanted to take piano lessons and they don't even know that you are going to surprise them with this, you can also buy a gift as well. Just go to their store. Share, tell your friends via email, text message, social media, etc., that you booked a Meethook session. So they really want to use you basically as a street team to get the word out. And then, you just follow it. So applause to Meethook. And cheers. Seems like a really cool platform. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just go to meethook.com because And it does seem that, it's an HTML website, so there's not a whole lot of flash with this site at all. So you don't get too distracted by all of that, all the bells and whistles of a flash site. But I like it. I like the whole concept of it. Okay, now, take some time, look at it. What else I like is that you can look on their list. Everything is really well designed. They have a cute logo. And charity is right in the middle of that. So let's say if in the middle of COVID-19 coronavirus crisis that you have a heart, you have money to donate to these different charities, select the charity of your choice and just go for it. One that I clicked on that I'd seen somewhere. I felt like I've seen it before, but I like the logo. I like the way it looks. It's called sweetrelief.org, Healing Musicians in Need, and then they have some words that they've said about COVID-19 as well on their website and who's benefiting from this. So yeah, they even have something called the COVID-19 Fund at Sweet Relief, and you can read about how they're helping musicians in need. If you've read any of the research that's out there about aging artists, then you know this is a really important fund. And so I'll make a deal with you. If you guys are signing up for sessions with me, I'll find a way to donate to some of these funds. We're all concerned how we're going to make it, how we're going to get through this ourselves, but I think it's also important to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to give something as well. So the more you book sessions with us over here, it helps us to, generate funds to donate as well. Sweet Relief is raising funds for medical expenses, lodging, clothing, food, and other vital expenses to those impacted due to sickness or loss of work. So you have a lot of people out here who are struggling to find the means to make ends meet, and this is just seems to be one of the organizations that are doing it. They have their heart in the right place. And you do have to be careful too, who you donate to. You guys know how to be careful out there. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're trying to give back in the best way that we can here on CMajor Before the Show, and then to just connect with you online. So on our CMajor's Classroom page tomorrow, you may see us post a copy of the logo. I'm going to see if it turned out the way that we thought it would, because I was trying to download the artwork for the logo so I could post it later and maybe share. Okay, I think it did work. Okay. Or maybe it worked partially. Okay, we'll just have to figure that out later. Not everything is working perfectly all the time, but we'll figure it out. Then at least I could do is post the link. And that way you can see it for yourself. Sometimes things work better on different browsers. So I guess it could have something to do with that. Okay, you have been listening to CMajor Before the Show. Just to recap some things we talked about, then we're going to move on to the CMajor radio show. We've been talking about what it means to learn piano lessons remotely and what that looks like. I really want to know how you're doing. Let us know. You can write to us, give us a shout out, talk to your friends on social media, and just think about how you would like to learn to play the piano online. There are a lot of good teachers out there, a lot of famous teachers out there. Shout out to the famous teachers. We see you out there doing your thing. You know, that's great. So thanks for keeping the music going, and it's all in good fun and all in good spirit. And we hope to see you next week. Now, next week, what we're planning to do, you know, I did something very unusual. I went on with my own Sunday music service, and that was inspired by Kanye West. Yes, it was. I have to laugh at myself for that. But I said, oh, if Kanye can do a Sunday service, CMajor can do a Sunday service. But it was CMajor's Sunday morning service where I just played a couple of piano songs, and then I played one of my original songs, and then I read something from the Harvard Dictionary, and that was basically it, and just said a few words. But I think after this is all over, after we're able to get out and about, I may actually decide to get a space and do like a Sunday morning service and see how that feels. Not a religious service, just a service where I play some songs that I played from childhood, and just to connect with community. We'll see about that. I've had such a change of heart with this whole thing going on. It really made me think I need to really get serious about my life and not put off my dreams anymore. Like, I've had a dream of owning my own business for a long time and being an entrepreneur. And I was afraid. I really was. But I think now is the time to really step forward and step up to the plate and do it. So I'm taking steps toward that. Pray for us over here. And we'll finally get our ducks in a row and we'll be able to do that. But it's time for CMajor to really get our ducks in the row, own our own business, provide jobs, pay a fair wage, and really try to do something worthwhile. Not in an egotistical way. I'm not an egotist. And I'm not a narcissist either. But thank you so much for tuning in. Glad you were here. Tune in for more information about notating your music, writing down your music over at the CMajor Radio Show. And next Saturday, we're going to be with you. Not sure about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But let's plan for next Saturday to be here. Not even sure of the topic. Maybe I'll focus back on music making and wellness, but you'll see. Thank you so much again for being here. Have a wonderful evening. And I'll see you next week right here on CMajor Before the Show. The CMajor Radio Show is coming up following today's podcast.